Hello and welcome to Rockies Recap. My name is Steven. Right there is co-host Tom. We hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend as we get ready to talk about the Rockies and Angels series that happened over this past week. The Rockies were able to win 2 out of 3 against the Los Angeles Angels. Tom, how are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. The Rockies did win the series against the Angels. However, the White Sox have lost 18 in a row. So the city of Chicago is on streak watch as they get closer to potentially breaking the record. But I digress. We're here to talk about the Rockies, not about the worst team in baseball. But all in all, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, and before we start, we wanted to talk about this because this kind of came up right before we went live. Mike Trout just the other day, announced on his social media that he's going to be having surgery once again on just injuries that he's had over the last year, last couple of years, and he's missed a lot of playing time last year. I think he only played about 80 or so games. This year, he's hasn't played much, and after what happened with Otani leaving the organization, leaving the Angels fans in shambles, not being able to get anything in return. Of course, the Angels didn't trade him; they let him go in free agency. The Angels, they got another bad. I guess in another bad newspaper, another bad announcement that Trout is going to be out for the rest of the season, and just you feel bad for Mike Trout, but also feel bad for Angels fans for what they've gone through over the last several years, not just over the last several years. A lot of their contracts not working out. We've talked many times about Anthony Rendon and how that hasn't worked out, hasn't panned out, and probably will never will pan out. Um, but yeah, you got to feel bad for Mike Trout, the best player in baseball, probably the face of baseball, or used to be the face of baseball. Now it's really Shohei Ohtani. But this is a guy multi-time All-Star. You're looking at probably a potentially a Hall of Famer here. It's sad to see because baseball is better when he's playing and when he's succeeding and the team's doing well. But it hasn't gone well for him. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family through this difficult time. As he's not going to be able to play for the rest of the year, and hopefully he has a big year next year, and we're all rooting for that as baseball fans. But yeah, we're not here to talk about Mike Trout. We're here about your Colorado Rockies, who again won 2 out of 3 against the Angels. Um, the Rockies they fell 10-7 game one. The Rockies they were able to take advantage, took an early lead with a 2-run homer by Ryan McMahon. But unfortunately, the Angels they quickly responded with 2 runs of their own in the bottom half of the inning. It was a back and forth battle in game one. Really, I mean, the Rockies I think were up 6-2, but unfortunately, the bullpen kind of suffered there. It was just it was back and forth game, but the Angels they got some home runs I believe from Joe Adele, and they had some really bright young players on their roster. Logan O'Hoppe, I feel like he is definitely an under the radar type of guy. I think a lot of people should know about him. A very good catcher, and I think he's going to be a great catcher for that team for many years to come. Um, and Ezekiel Tovar, he was able to get a 2-run home run. I think he now has 18 home runs on the year. So he just continues to get better, man. And it came off of I believe Kahada with 2 outs, so 2-out home run there. Joe Adele hit a home run off, I believe. Let me see that Jake Bird, who just came back from the IL. Adele had a really nice game for the Angels. He was on fire, going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Cal Quantrill, he struggled. Giving up 7 runs on 7 hits and just 3 2/3 innings. That was, his first start. And I'm sure, for me, Tom, I feel like that was maybe the yips a little bit because again, that was the day of the trade deadline ending, and maybe he had questions of whether he was going to get traded or not. And so I don't know what it just I don't know. It was kind of like that. I don't know. It was kind of like one of those starts. Is like you get the yips, and it felt like yips to me. I mean, Quantrill's been good this year to where he had a few rough starts, but this one was like more of the yips. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I would agree with you because players say they're not nervous about getting traded when they hear the rumors, everything about, oh, this guy could be going here, that, whatever. Players know it's a business and you could be on the move at any minute, whether you're sent down, called up, you're DFA'd, you're traded, that kind of thing. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Somebody like Quantrill, because he could have gotten that call an hour before first pitch and say, hey, Sorry you're not pitching. You got to go home, pack your stuff. You're heading here. Here's the details. They'll arrange your flight soon. That sort of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think he's going to be just fine. There's no reason why. He's a veteran. He's a professional. I think he's going to be just fine. But I do agree with you. I think he had a bit of the yips or just uneasiness about the fact that he could get traded.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was a back and forth game. I like the Rockies offense. They were able to, um, you know, kind of bounce the fight the way through. Again, they were up 6-2. They were able to get one run back there, but still, it was one of those games. It's just like, and that day was pretty tough as Rockies fans because we were, kind of all frustrated and upset that Rockies didn't move Diaz and Quantrill. Of course, recent news came out from Drew Goodman, who's the Rockies play announcer. And he mentioned on his podcast today that, the Rockies actually had 0 offers for Diaz and for Brendan Rodgers, who was also in the question of being traded. And Quantrill, according to Drew Goodman, because he's around the circles a lot, and he's around the Rockies front office personnel during batting practice, that sort of thing. And they talk to the, Rockies higher ups, right? According to Drew Goodman, the Rockies did receive offers for Cal Quantrill, but the returns weren't great or enough to trade the player, and so it kind of makes sense why that happened. But yeah, game one, that night, it just wasn't the greatest night. Even though you like to see McMahon home run, Tovar home run, it just was one of those games. It's just like, you know what, let's forget about it, move on. Yeah, Quantrill, he just didn't find his rhythm. His command was off. And the Angels took full advantage of that. Lambert and Bird, they had, rough outings a little bit there, allowing the Angels to extend the lead. But yeah, it was overall tough night for the Rockies, tough night for the bullpen and the pitching. Standout players, I guess it was McMahon and Tovar. Tovar went 3 for 4. Blackman had a good night. He went 2 for 4 with a run scored. And I think Chris Bryant, he went I want to say it was a 3 for 3 with an RBI. So, in game one. So, there was definitely some things to like there. So yeah, so game two, let's move to game two. So the Rockies won that game 2-1. It was a close game. They came out on top, low scoring affair, really good pitching performances, from both sides. And was it Kyle Freeland? I think pitched game 2. He was great, and ever since he's come back from his injury, he's been awesome. And we posted this on our social media, but we need to appreciate the starts that he's been able to do for the Rockies. In his last 7 starts, he's 3-1 with a 2.91 ERA, 43 in the third innings, 7 walks and 39 strikeouts. I mean, the strikeout numbers aren't ungodly, but they're pretty good, and they're kind of close to where we've seen Kyle Freeland in the past. Go back to 2021 and 2018. A little bit of a taste of that Kyle Freeland, and it's been great to see. And he's been nails ever since he's come back from his IL stint. And so, as a Rockies fan, you like to see that. And Brenton Doyle, he should, the Rockies, they posted this on their social media, in game 2, but Doyle should 100% win the National League Player of the Week. Not the week, the month, I should say. And who knows? He could be in the conversation of the week, but definitely for the month. I think he had, was it 10 or 11 home runs alone in this month. So it was just insane. The insane run he's had on this year, and I think he's already nearing the Rockies leaderboard in home runs as a team. Victor Vodnik nailed his 4th save of the year. So yeah, it was a low scoring affair. Rockies came out on top, so that was nice. And then game 3, it was I guess kind of again back and forth game. Michael Toglia got a home run, and then it was kind of the Angels took the lead. They were leading 4-2, and going into the 9th inning, Hunter Strickland came on in for the Angels. Looks like he was going to end the game there, and he's been kind of their closer for this year. And the Rockies were down to the last out. Jake Cave hits a fastball right over the middle of the plate, over the center field wall, to tie the game up. So that was awesome. Jake Cave has been in so many clutch moments this year for the Rockies, and that's just again, he should be one of your favorite Rockies out there. to root for, and you're really happy that he has a spot on this roster, because I know at the start of the year a lot of people were having questions. What's J.K. doing on the team? Now we're starting to see it. He's been able to drive in the Rockies runners in big clutch moments like tonight. I should say last night. And then, yeah, I mean, and then going into extra innings, the Rockies were able to take advantage on some missed plays by the Angels, and Tyler Kinley came in, made a great play to end the game, and the Rockies won in extras 5-4. So last night, one of the greatest wins of the year for me, at least one of the best games to watch. And it just kind of tells you that the Rockies, even though they're playing a team that's struggling as well, but also they're in a situation where they're not playing good baseball. They're still not quitting. And it was great to see that, Rockies pitchers, the pitching has been good overall so far here in the second half, especially in the Angels series, where they were able to kind of shut down the rally there and avoid the Angels from taking the lead or getting a win. And so we saw that last night from Tyler Kinley to get the save. So that was great. So overall, Rockies won the series, 5-4, 5-4 last night. Won 2-1 in game 2, and of course they lost game 1 7-10. But overall, again, great series for the Rockies. They've won 3 out of the first 4 series here in the second half. So I think that's something that you'd like to see as a Rockies fan, especially promising. And we talked a little bit before we started that J.K. recently came out and said that the Rockies, their goal in the second half is to beat up on some of these good teams and try to make them angry, make them upset, play spoiler baseball, and try to ruin these teams' playoff runs. And as Rockies fans, we for sure like to see that, but also we want to see some of the younger players get in there and play. So overall, it's been great. It's been positive, and honestly, I think the Rockies are doing an excellent job so far in the second half from what I've been seeing.
You could characterize it like I like to say it as they've gotten a second win, you could say. And it's like kind of where you've had a tiresome day and all of a sudden at 3-4 o'clock, you get a second win and all of a sudden you got a reboost of energy. It appears it would appear as this team has kind of got a new renewed energy. Quick live update. The Rockies lead the Padres 5-2 as we start the top of the 8th inning here in Gomber. He was fantastic. Coming off the mound, excited with the intensity after the 7th inning. So he's in line for the win and a quality start if this comes through. I got to say, Freeland, he's a bad man. Bad man. Let me tell you, that guy, he's pitching with, as I've said already, since coming back, he's pitching with bad intentions. So keep at it. Like I said, the only reason his ERA is inflated is that I don't want to even remember it. Opening day start in Arizona for game 1 of the season. So it was really great to see it. Again, Quantrill is going to be fine. Not worried. But Feltner, he also had a quality start game 3. I got to tell you, I've been thinking about this more. I'm going to dive a little more deeper into it. This starting staff, they got a renewed sense of energy. I really like it how they've been pitching, I would say the last month and a half of the season all together. So it's something that the Rockies will have, but just that, again, it's just when we lose, it's just when the bullpen just has not necessarily meltdowns, but just can't hold on, whether it's a close lead or a 4-run lead somewhat. I love it. Again, I just feel I hate to see Trout get injured again. I feel that he's being robbed of what could be building himself a Hall of Fame career, and we as fans are being robbed of one of the greatest careers in baseball history. And like you and I talked about, he's only been to the playoffs one time. One time. The best, well, what for consider for about a lot many years was the best player in the game. It's sad and unfortunate. I hope he does. I hope he makes a full recovery and somehow finds a way to get back on track and somewhat in his career. Because when he was healthy this year, he was doing fantastic. It's a shame. But again, with the Rockies, like you said, third series win out of the All-Star break, 3 out of 4. It's just, of course, hopefully that Giants series is the last sweep of the season. Can't guarantee that, but knock on wood, hopefully it is. And again, and like I said, keep playing spoiler. I mean, right now, I'm glad we're spoiling the Padres season a little bit right here. This is fun.
Yeah, and just heads up. The last time the Rockies played in San Diego, they were able to sweep the Padres. Of course, that's when the Rockies were on that big winning streak. So, but again, you want to beat up on some of these teams that are trying to stay in the wild card race, or just trying to win the division, or just trying to get in the playoffs. Really. You go back and look at the Giants series. I think like the bullpen has been struggling this year. It's probably been the weakest point of this Rockies roster. But I would also argue too that offense, it's not the worst offense in baseball, but it has been at times a historically bad offense, and we saw it in San Francisco. My goodness, it was it was just awful. I mean, I do think I will say I do think that the pitching on the Giants side was a part of the of what happened, right? It was a part of the storm, right? And you can't really. I wouldn't say it was necessarily all Rocky's fault for not doing well offensively. I mean, Blake Snell, for instance, by the way, tonight for those who are watching or listening, he threw the second no hitter this year, I believe, in baseball. Or yeah, and I think this was his first career no hitter, right? And so yeah, it just the Giants pitching, they've been incredible, especially in the second half, right? I mean, we saw that in the Rockies and Giants series. We talked about it on the recap. Go check that out. Go check that out. It's available here on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, we saw offensively, like the Rockies, they struck out a lot. But again, I will say again, like I said, I feel like as a rebuilding team, you tend to see a lot of strikeouts. And I'm pretty sure like teams like the Marlins, the White Sox, the Athletics, they're kind of up there too in strikeouts, right? A lot of younger players are playing. Tovar is still striking out a little bit. And, like, he's only 23 years old, in which yesterday was his happy birthday. So happy birthday to Ezekiel Tovar. But a lot of these younger players, they're still developing. They're still getting a grasp of the strike zone, and because it's different from the minor leagues, right? And I know a lot of people, they preach on that, right? They're like the minor leagues is a lot different, even the strike zone too. In the minor leagues is a little bit different from the big leagues, and so you're having to readjust consistently every single day. You're having to adjust. I mean, not only that, but there's umpires that have different strike zones, right? And thank goodness that Angel Hernandez is out of baseball and he's retired, right? So the Rockies don't have to worry about that. So, yeah, no, but the strikeouts have been a thing that the Rockies have struggled this year. But I think it just when the Rockies went into San Francisco, their offense just hit a cold spot, especially after hitting 20 runs against the Red Sox. But also too, you just got to tip your cap to the Giants pitching staff, which again they've done extremely well so far in the second half. Blake Snell, I think was it there were 15 strikeouts in game one or game two, and yeah, it's their pitching staff. They have a pretty good group of arms. Logan Webb, Hayden Birdsong, who I think he's a rookie this year. He's completely owned the Rockies the last couple times he's pitched. I think he pitched at Coors Field in Game 3 a week or two ago, and then he pitched just the other night in the doubleheader. So um, but yeah, you like to see the Rockies again. They're winning right now as a time of recording. The Rockies are beating the San Diego Padres right now 5-2. Late in the game, we're going to the bottom of the eighth inning. So fingers crossed the Rockies can hold this game and get the win there, because if the Rockies can get 2 out of 3, or even sweep the series against the Padres, that's huge. That could change a lot for the Padres, and for the Rockies. That's a confidence booster, right? Gives you confidence going into the next series, because Tom and I were talking. Because after this series, you got a pretty difficult schedule up ahead, because you're playing a 3-game series at home against the Mets, and then you have a 3-game series against the Braves, 3 or 4-game series against the Braves. Then after that, you're going to head, I believe, to Arizona, and that's Arizona. We know how they beat us in the first week of the season, right? And so you really are trying to, at this point, just kind of get some confidence going into that series, because what you don't want is to lose the series here to San Diego or get swept, because that's not going to do it well for you as you move on. But again, so far so good so far tonight in Game 1 against the Padres. But you might be wondering, when can you guys expect the Padres series recap? That's going to be coming up on Sunday evening, right around 8:30, right around our normal time of recording. So again, make sure you stay tuned for that. So yeah, tonight's Game 1 starters was Austin Gomber. Again, we can kind of quickly get into what happened tonight. And of course, we'll go a little bit more in depth and talk about today's game when we get to the recap. But yeah, Austin Gomber pitched 7 innings today. He was great. 6 strikeouts, and that's you like to see that. More than in a start like 7 innings, 4, 5, 6 strikeouts. That's good. That's good. And his command was great. He only had 1 walk, so that's great to see. But again, fingers crossed the Rockies can close out tonight's game and get the win. Game 2 starters for tomorrow. Tanner Gordon will be getting the start. And I will say this too, before we end tonight. Tanner Gordon, though, over the last couple starts, Tanner Gordon, I know he got up, roughed up a little bit in the Mets series when the Rockies were in New York before the All-Star break. But I would say 2 of his 3 starts, Tom, have been really, really solid, especially the start in San Francisco. I mean, again, I know he gave up, was it 4 or 5 runs in that start, but still, I think he had, I want to say like he had 4 or 5 strikeouts. And Tanner Gordon, he's still young. He got acquired by the Rockies last year in the trade from the Braves. And so Tanner Gordon, I like Tanner Gordon. I think he has definitely a chance to be a part of this rotation in the future. But you do have guys like Carson Palmquist, who, by the way, just got called up to AAA just the other day. There's some guys that are coming up, and see, that's the nice thing about the pitching, coming up for the Rockies in the minor league system. The Rockies have pitching coming, right? And so you have, I feel like the depth is a lot better than what it was a couple years ago. Even last year too. I remember last year, Tom and I, we would be talking on the podcast, and we would, be talking about, when's Gabriel Hughes coming up? When is, Dolander, when he's going to get moved up to double A or single A, because last year the Rockies had just drafted him. And so now we're starting to see those guys come up through double A and triple A, which is very promising. And so, Tanner Gordon, he's kind of that depth guy that you can have. And of course, with Marquez still on the IL, he's getting better. I think it sounded like he had a bullpen rehab. And he should be back soon. But Tanner Gordon, he's been good, other than his start against the Mets. But Michael Perez, I believe, Martin Perez, excuse me, he was acquired from I believe the Padres acquired him during the trade deadline. He's 2-5 with a 5.20 ERA, so not too pretty, 63 strikeouts. But he has a pretty decent record in the major leagues. But again, the Rockies, they've had good success against Perez. And then Game 3 on Sunday, Cal Quantrill will get the start against his former team, the team that actually he debuted with, and that was with the Padres. And I think it was in 2019 he debuted with the Padres. But as of right now, TBD for San Diego, so we'll find out later on in the series who will be pitching Game 3 on Sunday for the Padres. But for me, Tom, I think as long as the Rockies win tonight, if they can hold to this lead, and it sounds like Brenton Doyle got a home run robbery, I'm going to have to see the video. But if the Rockies can hold on to the series or hold on to this win and win, one of these last 2 games against the Padres, I think that's a win in the Rockies book. I mean, again, winning 3 of the first 4 series is good. And if the Rockies can win, 4 of the first 5, that's great, especially for a team like the Rockies are in rebuilding mode and kind of give them some confidence, because again, the Rockies, they're going to need it, because they have a pretty tough series against the Mets, who are, starting to create some heat in the wild card race right now.
Well, fact about Blake Snell, not only was this his first career no-hitter, this is his first career complete game. He's good, and people wonder why, because, well, remember, he pitched for the Tampa Bay Rays, who are very uneasy about having starting pitchers face a lineup for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
And about the Rockies strikeouts, they are currently second in all base as a team in baseball in strikeouts. Number 1 is the Seattle Mariners, 1128. The Rockies have 1077. So when you look up lineup construction, you want to minimize strikeouts. Again, it's very tough to do, considering the fact is the approach to baseball to hitting has changed, where a lot of guys view a strikeout as just an out. But the problem is, when I was playing baseball, I viewed strikeout as a failure, because not only did you strike out, you didn't influence any of the action by putting the ball in play. Because if you put the ball in play, you have a chance, yes, of course, for a fly out, ground out, line out, but you have an opportunity to potentially move the base runners, even if you say, for example, let's say you ground to the right side to first or second base and there's a runner on second, you can move the runner over. It's about situational hitting. So but then again, that's how the game has changed. And again, pitchers are throwing back since things have changed since back when I was playing baseball as a kid. Baseball players now are throwing triple digits. Back then, that was an anomaly if you did. Not everybody could throw as hard as Nolan Ryan. But anyway, I digress. When looking at the series, again, we keep bringing it up. JK put it the best. You got to play spoiler. Even though you are not making the playoffs, you can still have some fun and enjoy it. And Tanner Gordon, I think he's going to get his opportunities. Again, his start against the Giants, I think he only gave up 4 runs, so that's not bad, considering that it was just an awful series for the team overall. He'll get his opportunities as far as starts and innings are concerned. And, could he be the 5th starter next year? Possibly. Could he end up being at least the long man for this team? Absolutely, of course. I mean, right now that's Peter Lambert, who had a pretty good appearance in Game 1 of the last series, I believe, during 2 1/3 scoreless. So again, the more competition for a spot like that, the better. I mean, or if you have 2 guys who can throw multiple innings out of the pen, that's even better too. It helps you with your bullpen management. So we'll see as far as that goes. And again, Okay, no, it was well play, but yeah, the home run robbery by Doyle. Whew, that was a good one. But yeah, in this, I mean, the Padres, they are trying to push for the playoffs. That team does have a great fan base. There's a pretty big, huge crowd there tonight. But then again,
Oh yeah,
sad for the city of San Diego that the Chargers left the Padres
yeah,
are the only pro sports team left. So it's
yeah,
going to be a hard fought series. We'll
mm,
see. Again, hopefully we can hold on to this lead right now. Yeah, top of the ninth, so we got 3 outs to go.
yeah.
But it could be a fun series. Just play spoiler, and like I
Mhm.
said, just oh yep, Bonnick's getting ready. So I was just looking at the bullpen. But yeah, let's play spoiler,
Yeah,
make it fun, and
yeah,
just
yeah.
keep on rolling.
Yeah, when you mentioned the Chargers, I remember the old times when Peyton Manning was the Broncos quarterback, and when we used to play Philip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers. I don't know, it rolls off the tongue very well. San Diego Chargers, it really does. Los Angeles Chargers, no, like I like the new brand that they have. I know, like
Mhm.
they got. I know this is not a football podcast, but you know what? We're both football fans. At least I am.
Yeah.
But we're both football fans, and so we look at football and all that. But the Chargers, man, because I've talked to my dad multiple times, and because my dad, he was an airline pilot and he flew to San Diego quite a bit and used to fly over the stadium, stayed near the stadium. It just, it's kind of actually ironic that actually the Chargers stadium situation, when it was in San Diego, is kind of like what the A's were because, the Chargers wanted funding for a new stadium in San Diego, didn't get it. And so the owner, I think moved the team out of San Diego, went to LA. LA, of course, they actually, I think they used to have the Rams.
Mhm.
And then they went back and then they went to San Diego, then they went back to LA. But, I don't know. Again, this is a baseball podcast, but I think it would be really, really cool if San Diego, if there was some sort of NFL expansion, which could happen. And of course, we've talked about multiple times about baseball expansion in the offseason before that, Las Vegas, of course, they're unfortunately going to have to get the A's, but, nobody's going to care. Um, but like, you look at other teams, other options. Nashville has been up there. Um, Charlotte has been in the conversation, but when you talk about the NFL, I love to see a team get back to San Diego because again, you only have one team. I mean, I want to say there was they might still have I want to say there's an affiliate hockey team because of course you have the ECHL, whatever it is, kind of like the minor leagues of NHL. I don't get hockey all that much, but I do think that I think there might be somewhat of a minor league hockey team in San Diego, but still, you only have one franchise, and I think it would be great to have another NFL team in San Diego, or bring back an NFL team to San Diego, because again, you have a lot of people. I mean, San Diego is one of the biggest, cities in that state. Why not bring an NFL team there? I mean, maybe I know there's been conversation about maybe an NBA team or a WNBA team, but why not bring a NFL team back to San Diego? Because I think the fans they enjoyed their Charger football. And they had good success. I mean, they went to the playoffs regularly, and here we're with them in LA now with Justin Herbert. He's a good quarterback, but they haven't found a way to be consistent about making the playoffs. So that's my mini rant for tonight.
It is crazy that in the three major sports, pro basketball, football, and baseball, LA has two teams in all three sports.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. Like, that's just it's just a little bit too much. Like, I like how Sacramento has one team. It's not as big, but you know, but now if you think about it, they're going to get another team with the A's starting next year. Stupid. Um, but like, I like the Kings. They're I like their team. They have a bright young squad, and actually for many years they were horrible, arguably the worst NBA team ever, and now they're good. But yeah, I mean, it's just LA has too many teams, dude. Like I don't know. I just don't really like. I mean, if I was in LA, I mean, I kind of get it because LA is just huge. It's arguably the largest city in the United States next to New York and Chicago. But it's just too many teams. Like you have so many teams to choose for. It'd just be like, whatever. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of bandwagon fans in that city because it's just like, oh, if the Rams don't do well, I'll cheer for the Chargers, or if the Chargers, or vice versa, or if the LA Kings aren't doing well, I'm going to go for the other LA team. Or it's just like there's too much. I'd rather just like one team for everyone to cheer for, instead of, I mean, but I do get that they want to create some sort of rivalry, kind of like in the NBA, you have the Clippers and the Lakers, but I don't know. It's weird. LA has too many teams, but I just wish San Diego had the Chargers still, because again, this stadium situation wasn't great. But again, they had a lot of success. And again, I think I saw a video. Somebody actually was kind of talking about what I was talking about tonight about the Chargers. That really, again, the Chargers have a pretty good history of being in San Diego, like of winning, a winning culture. Where here in Los Angeles, not so good. I think they've only made the playoffs like one or two times in the last, how many years they've been in Los Angeles. I want to say they transitioned over in like 2016 or
Mhm.
2015. No, 2016, I think.
The last year in San Diego was 2017.
2017. Okay, that's far more recent. But
They
yeah,
were
like they
they were
haven't
there.
had. They've only made the playoffs like one time ever since they've been in LA.
It's they have not had great success. I mean, I can tell you
Yeah,
this: there was in the in the early '80s they made the AFC Championship game in back-to-back years.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it was 1961 to 2017. They were in San
yeah.
Diego.
And
And,
there's a lot of teams in the NFL that still have yet to win a Super Bowl, and the Chargers are one of them. But as a Broncos fan, I kind of like that. But I'm more
I'm
of
not.
a Raiders hater, so
I don't mind it either. Well, I'm not a Mark Davis fan either, so
and his bowl haircut.
I
But
swear that well, he's at ways that he's just a nepo baby living off the riches and success of his father.
well, and then we talked about how the Raiders and the Athletics, they have similarities. I mean, they both play in the same stadium, very much, eat at the same table in terms of how they run their organization. You can't really trust the Raiders too. I know that they have a somewhat of a decent quarterback now with Aiden O'Connell, and they have a good head coach, but still, you can't trust Mark Davis, with money or anything at all. Kind of like Jeff Fisher, right? Or
Well,
John Fisher, or John Fisher.
I'm still not convinced they're moving to Las Vegas.
No, I mean, it just then I saw something today. I forget, it was like an article how people in Oakland are actually trying to keep the team in Oakland, which is great. It's awesome.
Well, I think ultimately, I mean, the reception in Vegas is not great. I mean, it was months ago. He was at a convention trying. John Fisher wasn't even. There was no round of applause. The master ceremony. She was trying to get people like into. There's no interest.
No, they
There's
like
zero.
they want a baseball team, but they don't want the A's. They want an expansion team.
Yeah, and not to mention Bryce Harper is not Bryce Harper, a Las Vegas resident, is not in favor of this move.
Because here's the thing. Let's just say, like, in the future, Bryce Harper, contract runs out with the Phillies. Of course, he's going to be
Mhm.
old by the time it does. But let's
Right.
just say he's like, you know what? I want to go home, retire as
Sure.
in Las Vegas. I get to be close to home. He's not going to play for the A's, folks. There's no way in the world, unless if the ownership
Mm.
sells, which is not going to happen. I'm sorry, A's fans, but it's just like, what are you going to do? Bryce Harper, I guess you're going to have to retire Philly. And here's the same thing too. There's another famous guy that which we all know and love on the Rockies that's also from Las Vegas. And I remember,
KB.
yeah, KB. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of worried maybe that, well, this is when we first signed KB. I'm like, is KB going to leave us eventually or request or trade to go to Las Vegas when they get expansion team? But now as I think of it, we don't have to worry about that.
I
So,
mean, I still remain unconvinced that this is going to get done because you need. I mean, first of all, people are saying, well, they have renderings. You and I could do that if we were both a graphic designer. All we need is a computer program, some
yeah.
decent artistic ability, and we can draw those. Those are,
What? Yeah.
and of course, they're going to be nice and pretty. They're
Yeah.
not going to be ugly. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
This,
shout out to Eric Shunk, the father of Aaron Shunk, who's done an incredible job on drawings. Have you seen his drawings on Twitter?
I did see some of them. Yes, you're right.
They're phenomenal. I mean,
Very good.
Eric Shunk, shout out to you. And I think he follows us on Twitter, so that's awesome. So again, Eric, shout out to you and thank you. But yeah, I mean, I can't, like, renderings don't mean a thing. I mean, I remember there were renderings for some new stadiums for was it the
Marlins.
the Marlins. And well,
Mhm.
of course they have their current stadium now, but I think there was another team that was out there. Was it
You're talking trying to get a stadium now?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking in the past.
Yeah,
Well,
but
the
also
Rays,
too the White Sox too. I mean, there's a possibility, but like renderings doesn't mean that it's in place. Like the Rays,
well,
they of course got it's official. The Rays are getting a new stadium. Still
correct.
stupid. That's going to be in St. Petersburg and not in
No,
Tampa.
the
But
White Sox did have some renderings in this neighborhood of Chicago called the 78, which is right along the riverfront.
yeah,
But the way I see it is the only way. Here's the thing: even if for example, even if it goes to a vote where the owners approve a team to look to explore the options of relocation, I
mhm.
still don't believe that gets done. I don't believe anything until the shovel actually goes in the ground.
Into the ground. Yeah. Yeah.
Because at this point, first of all, not only do you have to get the vote for relocation, you have to get the construction boost done. You have to get your financing in order. Well, how much is private, public, and everything? There's so much that needs to be done between getting the vote approved and putting a shovel in the ground. And then at that point, that's okay, it's happening.
Yeah. Well, and then there's some people like the teachers, they don't want to whatever, but I honestly I don't think so. Because I thought I heard somewhere that a teacher is like, well, we didn't vote no on a team because we don't want a baseball team. We do. We just don't want the A's. That's how bad it is. Like they don't want the A's at all. And so you can't really blame them. So again, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it just going back to like we're talking about a little bit about football and ownership, but yeah, like the A's and the Raiders ownership and the front office, the way they work, very very similar, and it just I don't know, it's weird with all the stadium situations and everything. I mean, the Raiders have a pretty nice stadium, but again, it's hilarious how the Chiefs won a Super Bowl in their own stadium, and I know a lot of Raiders fans they
Oh,
don't like to admit to that, but but yeah,
well,
it's weird.
it's also unfortunate because I know Major League the owners, especially all the owners, want these stadium issues solved because it's
Mhm.
Tampa,
Yeah.
Oakland, possibly the South Side of Chicago. Once it's not until all these new stadium deals are finished is when they can finally get the approval to put expansion because they want to add two more teams. They have
Mhm.
30, but they want 32, 16, and 16, which
Mhm.
also could lead to division realignments. So the
Which is
Cubs are,
needed. I think we need division alignments, and it's
which
just
we
not just from a Rockies fan, from our perspective, from both Tom and me, but just I think it's needed for everybody because it's just like there are some teams where it's just like you can't win. Like the Rockies, I know some people was like, well, maybe it's just the Rockies suck. Well, listen, the Rockies they're playing in arguably one of, if not the hardest division in baseball. You have to play against the Dodgers, then you have to play against the Giants, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, right? And you do want to create some sort of level of fairness in the game. And I think, and not only that, but you want it regional, so you don't have to worry about travel because you look at the Mariners. I think they're the most traveled team. They fly the most. They travel the most in all of baseball. And what you want to do, and I think even the NFL has even talked about this, is how they want to create some sort of alignment to where actually like the Seahawks or the Mariners, they won't have to travel as far. Like they only have to travel to like San Francisco, right? And I think that would be kind of good for the sport in some ways. I understand that there might be some rivals that will be like loosened that won't be rivals anymore, but still, I think realignment is needed, and I think a lot of people, and I tend to believe that it would actually benefit the Rockies greatly because again, you wouldn't have to play teams like the Dodgers as much. You still have to play them, but you just wouldn't have to play them as much. But yeah, I mean, the race situation is going to be solved. It's already solved. Basically, it's just we're waiting for the final details and for the shovel to go in the ground. But for the A's, and of course, I feel like MLB is just like, hey, let's get going, and it's just like, yes, we want realignment, but just don't trash the city of Oakland or the fans of Oakland, and it's again, it's sad, it's messy, it's something that you just don't want to see as a baseball fan, period. But yeah, I think expansion. Well, it sounds like expansion is going to happen right around when Manfred steps out because his contract ends, I believe, in 2028 after the 2028 season. So 2029, somebody else is going to step in. I'm just curious if somebody better, which we're hoping for, it comes in 2029 is like what, let's get rid of who cares about alignment, let's just keep it the way it is because I like to see realignment. Personally, I think it would be nice to have four divisions, four teams. I think that's how it works. So kind of like the NFL. But I personally, for me, I just think it's needed. It helps just travel, but also fairness in the game.
well, the other thing you got to worry about is even a bigger issue is the CBA, which expires into after next season.
Yeah,
And
and we've talked about yeah,
I'm almost not certain there will be a work stoppage, and
yeah,
it's going to be longer than it was in 2022.
yeah.
This is going to be a bloodbath. I'm glad I'm not going to be in those negotiating rooms. By the way, Vic, wait, hold on.
I'm
I
watching the
thought
game.
that, yeah, I was about to say I thought oh, they're debating whether or not it was a foul ball.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's a 1-2
It's
count. Looks like
a foul ball. It's a foul
a foul
ball.
ball. Okay.
Just when you catch up, you'll see there's a play with Toge at first. They're trying to decipher whether this is a foul. Oh, that's a foul ball. Yeah, this is a
Okay.
foul ball. That's a foul ball. So,
Hmm.
but anyway, yeah, like I said, in order first things first, they got to get the new stadium situation sorted. Then they can worry about expansion. But even before any of that, I think before any of those get done, I mean, obviously the Rays are almost there. They're on the almost to the home stretch. You got to get the CBA negotiated. It is going to be bad.
Mhm.
So many pressing issues get on the table, whether it's talking about unionizing the minor leagues, the new rule institutions, the money split, the revenue share. There's so much that's going to be bad. And again, it's going to cause, it could cause not a black eye, but it could cause a bad mark on the league,
Yeah.
because there was the narrative during the last lockout: millionaire players against billionaire owners. It's really,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's either way. But again, oh, victory now. It's official. But anyway,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I don't want to go too long. But anyways, it's the point is, yeah, this team is still, they got some questions solved in the offseason. It's going to be interesting to see how this season wind down, because
Mhm.
a lot of guys are competing for jobs. So we'll see how this goes. But
Yeah.
it is fun watching it. And like I said, start this new series with a win.
Yep. And we'll cover the series in our next recap, which is going to be coming Sunday evening. So stay tuned for that. I guess for some reason X didn't work tonight. It says that we still need, whatever premium
Yeah.
account, which we just bought today. But I'm wondering if it's the blue check mark, which we still haven't got. That's got to be it, because again,
Yeah.
I bought, and so I'm wondering, is it we're gonna have to wait till the blue check mark? But I'm gonna do some research on that. But again, if you watched on YouTube later, a little bit later on, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Feel free to hit the like button. That really helps us out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Stay tuned for our Rockies recaps, because we do that almost every single series. Actually, we do every single series as much as we can. And again, we're kind of getting to almost like close to the home stretch area. We only have about 60 or so games left of the regular season, which is crazy. I think we actually now are going on 50. Season's gone by so fast, and we really appreciate you guys coming on in and being able to watch with us and just react with us the Rocky season. If you don't follow us on Instagram, feel free to do so. Do the same thing on X. We post constantly everything Rockies content 24/7, so, and also on Threads. So make sure you follow us all there. Again, we're hoping to do a podcast coming up soon, because we just did one about a week or two ago, starting off the second half. So go check that out on Apple Podcast and Spotify. We hope you guys have a great evening. Thank you again for watching all of us tonight on the Rockies recaps here at Rockies Now. Have a great night, everyone. And as always, go Rockies.